Joe, welcome to Air It Out, man. It is a pleasure to have you with me.
Yeah, JD. Real great pleasure to meet you.
Buddy, I have heard so much about you. First of all, before we even get started this morning, uh, congratulations on becoming a dad. When did you become a dad here for the what, second time?
Yeah, second time on 12/26 on July 9th.
July 9th. Man, you're in the thick of it right now, brother.
Oh man, it's funny you say that. That's what my grandfather said my entire life. You know, every new adventure in life. Wow, Joe, you're in the thick of it now.
Yeah, is that what he used to say? Seriously?
Oh yeah, every time I get into something and we would talk and he would say, "Man, you're in the thick of it now." And I feel like there's more thick of it to come.
Yes, there is. Yes, there is. I'm a dad at 54, only one little girl, and that is plenty.
How old is she?
She's 10.
Ben, oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome age.
Late bloomer for this old fella, man, but it's a ride. It is a ride, and it is and will be the best thing that you ever will be is a father.
Yeah, yeah. No, I believe that with my whole heart. It's something I've always dreamed about and was blessed with it unexpectedly. Not children unexpectedly, but just the marriage. And then, we had Raphael about 2 years ago now, August 30th, 2023. And he's just been a big part of my heart.
Yeah, man, that's so cool. You know, Leon was telling me that you graduated with a Bachelor of Science from the Pennsylvania College of Technology in Williamsport. Did you think at any point that you were going to become a circle weaver for Sweethearts and Heroes after graduation?
No, not after graduation whatsoever. I always have enjoyed working with students. It's been one of the things that I really love to do. Um, and I've known Tom my whole life. I've known about what he's been doing for a while, maybe not quite as in depth as especially the last year and a half. But no, I didn't think I was going to be down this road. In fact, I've had the opportunity to talk to a number of students, who are thinking about just their careers and what they're going to do, and they're stressed out about it. But they have these dreams too, and I've just been able to look at them and say, listen, I graduated with a welding engineering degree, and now I'm getting to play games with students and just have conversations. Like I didn't think I would be here where I want to be, but it was always a dream of mine to do something like this.
And you love what you do.
I do. I love having conversations with people. I always have, and students in particular. I was a youth group leader for a number of years and a camp counselor. And yeah, I absolutely love it. I like especially I love the circles. I love the games. I'm pretty competitive, so I get to play all these different games with students. But I really love the one-on-one interactions that this job affords me, and getting to make these connections even outside of a circle, whether it's after a circle, whether it's playing a quick game of pickup basketball in the gym with some students, and just getting to have these one-on-one conversations is just really dear to my heart.
I love to say every Wednesday when I have someone on from Sweethearts and Heroes, what is circle? Because it's important that listeners have a clear concept of what we're talking about, and not everybody is familiar with circle and how effective it is. What's your definition of it before we dive into what a weaver is? What is circle?
Well, man, circle is a process that allows the people, the participants within the circle, to not only hear other perspectives, but to um, grow empathy. And it has a number of pieces to it. When you talk about playing games with students, they're not just games. We call them activators, but they're developed to help build some of these core competencies that we're looking for, human skills. And then, we get into some questions brought by a weaver, but really they're just questions to bring about conversation between individuals in a group, where everybody gets a chance to be heard. And yeah, it's in hearing different perspectives, it's almost impossible not to start wiring this thing called empathy within your brains.
That's what Tom has said to me. It is literally impossible to not rewire your brain, or at least kick those existing circuits into overdrive when you are forced to sit and listen to others. And we often, as you know, we often really never know what's a hot button for someone and what's going to come out of somebody's mouth.
Yeah, I get surprised every day in my job. There's not a circle that I do that, I don't find myself just going, didn't expect that from that person. Or, wow, I just have never even thought about it. There's an infinite amount of perspectives out there. And so, yeah, I hear stuff all the time that, and I've pressed a few hot buttons myself, not knowing that was going to happen.
When you're sitting around literally around in a circle, and you are forced to listen to others and tell their stories, their perspective, their ideas, some might go on for a couple of seconds, some several minutes. It was not easy for me, and I've said this pretty much every Wednesday. My first circle experience, and Tom was part of that circle. It was not easy for me to sit and just listen. I mean, my rules here on the podcast are: you jump in anytime you want to jump in. And Tom was like, "No way, Jose. That is the opposite of circle. When it's your turn to speak, then you speak. But otherwise, you're listening." That's not easy to do, man.
Yeah, it's not. And I think that's probably one of the number one things that students and teachers alike struggle with. Not students sometimes have an easier time than teachers, because sometimes perspectives come out that may not be kind, may not be in keeping with how the classroom is run, and that can be difficult. And I actually just had a couple of different conversations with some teachers this week. I was in Whitney Point, finishing up a program. Actually, it'll finish next Monday, that Pat Fish started over there, some student teacher circle training. And I had a couple of conversations with some teachers who were just like, how do you sit there and just not say anything, especially when other students are speaking out of turn and saying mean things. And I think my first and foremost thing is practice. You do it so often that you learn. And I really, it's tied to a core value of mine. but to genuinely listen to another human being. And I learned this from Tom, but, I learned through experience, but through time, that when you cut other people off, it can hurt their feelings.
Yeah.
And, I tell students, when I tell them that, I say, I used to think that, it didn't hurt my feelings when I got cut off. Because I started telling students that when I first started this, oh, well, it doesn't hurt my feeling, but I found that it can hurt other people's feelings. But I did a little more soul searching on that one and realized that it actually does hurt my feelings. It just depends on the situation. And I'll usually give the example, if I'm really excited about something and I'm going to go and tell my wife, hey, dear, this new thing, this new tool that I got, and then she just starts cutting me off and talking about some duckling or something that she's hatching. Yeah. It hurts my feelings.
Yeah.
But it has to be somebody, that I have that relationship with. But then I'll look at the students and say, but if you go and cut me off, it's not going to hurt my feelings, in this context. But it's different for everybody, right?
Yeah, it is. And man, I am so guilty of that at home, and trying so hard to take whatever my questions are that I might have and just put them aside and wait for the right time, which is, again, so hard for me to do because I'm naturally an inquisitive guy. When I sat in that circle with Tom and those students at Peru, man, it's like I needed a pen and a paper, which I didn't have, and I always have, and that drove me nuts, man. Like it killed me. And when that circle was over, I was just filled with so many questions that I was just overwhelmed and just locked right up.
Now, so you usually, when you have a question, it comes up and you ask it, right? And I would imagine that's one of the reasons why your podcast does so well and why you're so inquisitive, because you're good at asking questions. But so that was very difficult for you, huh? To not be able to ask those. Yeah.
Yeah, big time. Who comes up with the start of a circle event that if you're hosting this, do you go into it the day before or the hour before with a series of questions to get the conversation started? Do you know what road you're going to go down, or do you just kind of wing it?
That's such a great question. Because my the people before me in Sweethearts and Heroes are pretty much in circle related stuff, are pretty much Tom and Pat. And both of which are really, really good on the fly. Especially Pat. I don't know if it's because of his rapping background or not, but he can just wing it well. And that's actually been kind of a challenge for me because you go into this middle school classroom and you go into it with a plan, and that plan doesn't work at all, because every circle's different. So I do go into a plan mainly because I really hate being stressed out. And actually, even though I love my job, this job stresses me out a ton because I want to do a good job, and I want to give the students and the teachers the best experience that I can. And as a weaver, some of that is relying on you and how you can set up a question, how you can tie it to some vulnerability even with yourself. And so, I do pretty much every circle I totally come up with at least a loose plan of what I'm going to ask, because I want to go in with something. Most of the time, I always ask the first question I come up with. And I don't always come up with them. We have a whole list of questions, and sometimes I'll pick from there. But I'll almost always ask that first question, and then dependent on how that goes, really my hope is that something in my soul will be struck, and I will be able to follow my curiosity on one of those things. And honestly, it's pretty much every circle. At least somebody will say something that will strike me. And like I said earlier, I'll go, oh. And usually then I will try to frame or base off my question following that. And sometimes it's 3 or 4. And now I got to pick one, right? Especially when you're doing a circle for 40 minutes. I mean, you get that first question out. And if people want to talk, you might not even get the next question, in. So, but I kind of go in with a loose plan because I don't like being stressed out. And if I have at least a plan of what activator I'm going to do and what first question I'm going to ask, I usually can calm my nerves down enough, to then get through that and see where I'm at. And then kind of go and follow my curiosity from there.
I've asked Tom, and I've also asked your brother, and I think I've asked Pat, and I'm going to ask you now. Have you left a circle event, a circle experience with high school students, and been so, you just said the word struck, and been so struck that it has distracted you from the rest of your day or consumed you profoundly enough where you're almost in a fog for the rest of the day? I've seen Tom, and I know you have too, where he was so impacted that he's temporarily almost like a zombie. He has to purge. He's got to talk about his experience or digest it, process it in his own time. Have you ever been like that? Have you ever left a circle group and gotten into your car and don't even remember the ride home?
Oh yeah, 100%. Actually, I find more so though with middle schoolers.
Wow.
Yeah, and a lot of times for me, I don't know that it's necessarily a profound concept that I hear from a student as much as a profound story that. Or just a struggle or a challenge that they share in circle that's just gut wrenching. I think that's what does it for me. I've never really had it like if I had a circle in the morning and then I had 5, 6 more circles. I never really have it affect me like during that part of my day. I'm not sure why that is for me, but I usually go through the circle. And then the entire circle day. And then, when I get into my car, it starts to hit me and I start to think back to some of those things, some of those, like I said, the struggles are really the big ones that hit me. And I have to at least talk to my wife about them. And usually I'll talk to Tom too, because he's been through a number of those as well. But the struggles that some of these students go through, I'll hop in and I'll just I like the word ruminate on it and just chew it up over and over and over again, and just think about it. It's kind of a tough part of the job. because you get to hear and see quite a bit of damage sometimes. But, I've also had through that some really incredible experiences where, that same student comes back to me and says, "Hey, thanks for the conversation. I'm doing a lot better now."
Yeah.
And I think those are the even more impactful ones, where you're like, "Whoa, I said like 5 words to you." And they're like, "Yeah, but that's what I needed." And I
Isn't
appreciate
that amazing? That's incredible. And, we should say, first of all, I mean, the fact that you guys are bringing this program into schools is so fantastic, because schools are places where we're supposed to learn the curriculum. But there's so much more that's going on that's affecting children, that they're bringing to school with them, things that they're carrying throughout the day into the classroom, out of the classroom, on the way to school, on the way home. And the fact that you guys are bringing something that is a different form of learning is really cool, and frankly, something that I wish that I had when I was in middle school and high school. I don't know if it's a reflection of the sign of times or what, but just the fact that, man, life is not easy, and what kids have to deal with today is unbelievable. And like you said earlier, everybody has a different and unique story, experience. But a lot of what you guys do we should say in Circle is not just serious stuff too. There's a lot of laughter. There's a lot of fun, frankly, that can come out of a Circle experience, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. I actually, it's interesting you bring that up. That's actually what I rely heavily on personally. I'm usually goofy somewhat in my circles, and I'll actually get a lot of teachers that will come back to me and be like, "Hey, like, that was nice, but like we just laughed a whole bunch. Like there wasn't any like deep stuff."
Yeah.
Like, yeah, well, we'll get there. It's
Sure.
going to take a bit. I'd much rather get these students out of class. A lot of times, not for every student, but a lot of times, the place where they really just don't want to be in class.
Sure.
Get them out of it, have them come down, or go into their classroom. My favorite, though, is when they have to come down and they come into the room that I'm in, and there's this circle of chairs, and they're like, "What is this?"
We have to look at each other.
Yeah, I'm not doing anything.
Not talking.
And they'll sit down. I can remember this one time. I can't even remember where I was, but this student comes in, high schooler, comes in and says, "What is this? Is this therapy?" I was like, "No, we're just gonna have some fun." Well, I'm not doing anything. He sits down right next to me. It's like, "This is so stupid. Why do we have to?" I was forced to be here. I said, "Yeah, man, me too." He's like, well, at least you get paid." I was like, "Well, yeah, touche. You got me there. Yeah, for sure." He's like, I'm not doing anything." By the end of the circle, he was begging his teacher to come back with the other half of his class that was going to come down right after that. And he did. Him and his buddy did. And they were the only two that were really like, "This is so dumb." And so, especially for a first time circle, man, when students come in, my goal is to make them laugh, to have some fun, to get introduced to me, introduced to Circle. So I just make a bunch of jokes and pull out my diaper that I carry around. you
What's
know.
what's that? What's the story with that?
Oh man, when I was first starting, Tom kind of just had this idea. You know, I had my son, and he's like, "Dude, you should like put some rice in a bag and put it in a diaper and just start chucking it at kids. And like, you know, like you should pull it out and be like, oh, I can't believe that's in there. I was changing my son this, you know, yeah, he wanted me to come up with this whole story. And I remember I did it once at the first school. I was doing kindergartners through maybe third, fourth grade. And, you know, I was like, okay, I'm going to try it. And it kind of failed miserably. But it kind of morphed into this little skit that I do, really. And I have my superhero briefcase. I'm sure you've seen Tom's.
Yes.
Not sure if you've seen Pat's, but
No.
Pat has one. There's only 3 in existence, I tell kids. And my buddy Tom bought all 3 of them. And Pat's got one. He's got a bunch of bracelets hundreds of bracelets dangling off of his. And they're all from students. He's got a story for each one of them. And he remembers them all. And then mine, it's got some crazy. Could I grab it for you?
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man. I love it. We're chatting this morning with Josiah with Sweethearts and Heroes. If look at that.
So
Wow.
Pat's got a bunch of bracelets. I decided to go with stickers. You know, honestly, I told you I don't like being stressed. What I ended up doing was when I was first starting, I had a bunch of questions printed out on from a label maker, and I stuck them on here. And then I stuck this one on from the summit that we had. And then students just started sticking more stickers. There's just a ton of different stickers from different students. But yeah, so this is mine, and Tom had been carrying this around in the back of his car for probably about 10 years. And I tell kids it was just jiggling around back there, and he was waiting for somebody to give it to. And last fall, he decided to give it to me. And I usually tell students I'm not sure why. He gave it to me in a hotel parking lot and then drove off. The kids are like, "Did you check what was inside of it?" I'm like, "No, I mean, it was Tom. Like,
Yeah, right.
he's not going to give me anything, you know, terrible." But yeah, then, you know, I usually tell them how special it is to me. And then what I'll usually do is say, "Hey, I'm going to open this up, but this next thing that can somebody catch, you know, because this next thing I'm going to toss is even more important to me than this briefcase." And I inevitably get somebody, and I'm like, "Now, seriously, like, I need you to promise to not let this hit the floor." And they're like, oh, okay, I promise. And sometimes they're like sitting there like this. I'm like, "Dude, get ready. Like, come on." And, you know, I'll grab it all silent like, you know, keep it away from the students, and then I'll chuck it at them, and it's a wrapped up diaper. And I started out with rice inside of it.
Well, that was going to be a question that I had. Did you move to something else?
I did, because I was playing a game with it, and it hit the floor, and the rice blew out everywhere in the classroom. And it was like carpet too. It wasn't like hard floor. And this 5th grader gets up and gets this tiny, tiny vacuum for the next 5 minutes. You know, like the kids wouldn't stop the game. I'm like, no, like we got to stop. And like, "No, it's my turn to shoot. Come on." Because I had 2 others going, 2 other diapers. And I'm like, "No, like we got to stop." And I look over to the teacher, and I'm like, "I am so sorry." Luckily, I had somewhat of a good rapport with her. She's like, "Oh, it's okay." But the student, you know, cleaned it up, and I promised myself that I wouldn't put rice in it anymore. So then I started doing some really funky things, like some homemade soap from my wife. She makes homemade soap. And the day after that happened to me, I was back home, and I had to go to another school, and it was in the morning, and I'm like, "What am I going to put in my diaper? I need a diaper because it's my thing." I pull it out and make everybody laugh. They freak out. They toss it. They scream. Sometimes they cry, I tell students, and they're like, what do you mean?" I'm like, "Well, you know, every now and then you throw it to a student who was traumatized by their dad chasing around with a diaper, and it's a little much for them, and so you got to be careful. But anyhow, so I was headed out the door, and I saw this round, piece of soap that my wife makes. She makes really, really amazing soap. But this one round one, I stuck it in there with some plastic bags.
What color was it?
Oh, it was like a beige.
Okay.
It was just like a.
Wasn't brown.
Huh?
It wasn't brown.
Not quite.
Okay.
No, yeah. It should have been, but she didn't really have a ton of brown ones. So, but I threw it in there just for that day, and I ended up keeping it in there. At one point, I had a bottle of ibuprofen in there because I don't know. I guess I'm a little lazy, and I was like, I don't know what else to put in. So one of them was shaking, but I stopped with the soap because I had a 9th grader rip open the diaper, found it in circle as I'm doing this little gig, and they're like, "Can I eat this? Can I take a bite of it?" And I'm like, "Sure." He took a huge bite of this soap, and it's like kind of waxy, and it's like he gets up and he hands it to his buddy. His buddy takes a bigger bite of it, and the teacher's just sitting there like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I'm sorry. I mean, they asked me. I mean, it's not toxic."
Sure.
But it was just stuck in their teeth. And so I tell students I can't carry soap anymore in there. So, right now I got this little squishy stress ball.
Oh, perfect.
But it's broken here.
Yeah.
So I used it. They wanted to use it as a talking piece, but it was just squeezing out stuff. I was like, you know what? I'll just put that in my diaper. But the reason I have a diaper, JD, is, and I always tell this to the students once they freak out, say the reason I have it is because I have a 1.5, almost 2-year-old son. And right now I travel about 5 days a week. I only really get to see him on the weekends. But if you ever had to change a diaper, and usually a kid or two raises their hand, if you ever had to change a diaper, you know that the first one's smelly, nasty, disgusting. You change it real quick. Sometimes I'll tell them I close my eyes to hide it from the, I don't want the stink to seep into my eyes. Change it real quick, throw a new one on. And now all of a sudden you have this half little naked human being waddling across the floor, and you just get this quick little whiff of
Sure.
Pampers.
Yes.
And so I get to pull this out every single day with the students that I meet, watch their reactions, and then when I get it back, I get to give it a quick whiff. And by this time, kids are like, "Oh," I'm like, no. And it just brings back all these awesome memories that I have with my son. Not the changing part.
Sure.
The time running around, and so that's why I have a diaper. That's why I chuck it at students. But by the time I'm done with that, I've got 20 minutes to maybe even 15 minutes to ask my question, and usually it's a solid question. But by that time, I've just got students laughing.
Yeah, right. Icebreaker.
Yeah.
Joe, have you at any point considered, like a chocolate pudding or pea soup or anything?
Yeah, I get students that say I should put Hershey bars in there, and
that's a great idea.
I think for me, the challenging part with that is I just stick this back in my suitcase, and I don't know. I mean, pudding. I don't know. Does pudding end up smelling? I mean, does chocolate? I mean, like. I just use it over, like I have to change it every now and then because they just get so busted up. But these Pampers, they hold up so well. I can play because I play games with these too.
Listen, Pampers should be sending you a free supply, frankly, every week. I want to know where you have opened your briefcase, forgetting that this diaper is in there, or maybe not, at the airport, on a bus. Where was it when you've opened this and had others glance at this?
Oh, when students that I haven't done a circle with ask me to look what's inside of it. And, I'm like, yeah, sure. And they're going through and they see all my action figures, and then they get to the bottom of it and there's this diaper, and they're like, what is this? I'm like, oh yeah. And then I have to tell them the whole story, but
I forgot about that one.
Yeah. But really, only that probably only happened the first couple of weeks that I started doing it. This is probably, and I didn't mean for it to be this. It was supposed to be a little bit of a gag, supposed to be able to play games with it. But after I explain why I have it, this is probably one of my most used talking pieces. Students are like all disgusted by it. And then by the time I'm done explaining it, because, I'm opening up and being a little bit vulnerable.
Sure.
And then they're like, let's use the diaper. And I'm like, okay, awesome.
Wow.
Sweet. We use the diaper. And I just think it's incredible, especially like middle schoolers, like in school, and they're just passing around a diaper. And I'll look at them and be like, you ever think you'd be passing a diaper around in school? Like, it's kind of like one of those unique things that I would almost imagine I'm like one of the only people in the world who gets to like pass a diaper around with a bunch of middle schoolers.
Yeah, right. I got to ask you, man, first I want to tell you, when one of the first times that I met Tom, he was just spewing out all of these acronyms. And I was a little overwhelmed. And I was like, Tom, it's like, do I have to write all these down? And he said, no. And he put his hand on my shoulder and he said, someday you'll get it. About a week and a half ago, I was faced with a challenging situation. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, unexpectedly, I said, hold on, possibilities exist. And I couldn't believe it. I was like, there's hope right there. And I'm like, Tom was right. Have you ever had a student in Circle say, hey, that's a great idea, and that's a great acronym, but quite honestly, I don't have any hope. The outcome is probably not going to be good.
I don't know if I had a student say that blatantly right out in a circle. I've definitely had some students say, well, I don't have any I don't have a hero. There's nobody that helps me. When we ask who's your favorite superhero, I've had that happen, a number of times. I have had, an occasion or two, where students come up to me afterwards and say, hey, thanks for sharing. I thought about committing suicide the other day. And then we talk through that. We go to a counselor. Yeah, I don't know that I've had a direct confrontation in that way in a circle where a student goes, there really is no hope. But seeing as you brought it up, I'd be willing to imagine that it will come down the road at some point.
Yeah. You guys are all doing such great work. I'm so impressed by hearing about everything and witnessing it myself over in Peru, and I hope to have another opportunity to do that with any of you, frankly. You guys are really doing incredible stuff. And like I said earlier, schools that are not yet familiar with Sweethearts and Heroes, get in touch with them. Sweetheartsandheroes.com is really the best go-to that you should have at your fingertips today. If your child or your school is not connected, and if they are, take your testimony and share it to other schools. How important the work is that you're doing to empower children to be the best that they can, to be productive, to be intelligent, yes, to learn things, of course, but to carry with them hope, strength, encouragement, love, empathy that they can give to others. And you guys are you're doing it. You're really doing it. And I'm so impressed with all of you.
Well, we appreciate that, JD, and we really appreciate you and allowing us to come on here. And maybe next time I there was one comment you made a quick statement about, maybe it's the sign of the times, and I'd be interested to hear about maybe more if there's any depth on that comment on your end. I'd love to talk to you about that.
I would love to have that conversation, man. When are you I'd love to get you and Brian in here, or you and Pat. Yeah. When are you going to be out this way?
I'm not really sure. Our schedule right now, is being built for this next year. But I would be more than, I know Brian isn't that far away. I'm not even sure how far I would technically be, probably 4 hours, 3 hours maybe. But I would love that, whether it's with Brian or Pat. I really kind of was thinking about it before I hopped on. I was like, man, I'm not really a Google Meet guy.
Yeah.
Like I'm not really a phone guy. I like to be in person, and I was thinking, it'd be so sweet to be there. So I really think, let's, I'd be willing to make the drive, but let's do it in person next time, man.
I would love to do a marathon circle, live on Aired Out, with you and Tom and Rick and the whole team.
Wow.
Just us. No time restraints. Live on Aired Out. And go down some rabbit holes, brother.
That would be awesome, man. I would be 100% down for that.
I can't wait to meet you in person, dude. And once again, kudos to you. Tip of the hat. You guys are doing great work, and I loved having you on this morning.
Hey, same here, and JD, I'm proud of you for your brain bringing up. Hold on, possibilities exist, because they really do. So thanks for sharing that story. That was awesome to hear this morning.
Thanks, buddy. Looking forward to meeting you. Thanks, Joe.
Same here. Thank you.
What a great guy. That's the kind of stuff right there that that I love so much. Having conversations like that, incredible. Every Wednesday, we bring Sweethearts and Heroes on with us, and we have great conversations, and I love it. Again, if you haven't done so yet, sweetheartsandheroes.com. Josiah McKeon, my guest this morning. Hey, last night, I got a chance to sit down with Mark Tatro and a few other great people and chat up more details about the Nodes Family Benefit on Saturday, August 23rd. the graphic that we've been sharing says 4 p.m. start. They have changed that. They haven't changed the graphic yet, but because they're adding some more details to it. But it's a 2 p.m. start, and I want to make sure that we get that out and communicate that as much as possible. It's a 2 p.m. start for the Nodes Family Benefit on Saturday, August 23rd. We are 1 month away today. 1 month. It's going to go until about 8:30. It's not going to go till like midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. This is a family event. Live music from Dave Keller, Jamie Lee Thurston, Shane McGrath from Williamstown is going to be performing, which I can't wait for that right there. Shane's amazing. Incredible food is going to be served up. Food trucks will be there. Randy Henry will be cooking up some food as well. The Lions Club is going to be doing some games. Real Bounce, Rick Choquette and company will be there, letting the kids jump, play, have fun. A beer garden will be served up from Cornerstone. Paquette Farm is going to be there doing a corn roast. Arguably the best corn on the planet. So please make this part of your schedule. Get it in your calendar for Saturday, August 23rd. 1 month from today. 2 p.m. start. All proceeds, every dime, going to be going to the Nodes family. And admission is by donation. This is the family that lost their barn on their 400-acre farm right here in central Vermont. We're going to do all we can to help them out on the 23rd. Good luck to all the drivers for the Times Argus Midseason Championships. Double points on the line. It is going to be a great night tomorrow. I want to thank Alice Goltz yesterday for her deeply personal conversation with me on the State House lawn yesterday. One that impacts me every time. This is the third time that I've had her on Aired Out, and yesterday, like the previous two, just stuck with me all day. An amazing lady, and we're going to have more updates on Alice, I promise you. Enjoy the rest of your day. Please be careful out there, especially in the construction zones, which are everywhere. We got some hot weather that is coming back tomorrow. Or is it Thursday? I can't remember. I think it's, yeah. Tomorrow's kind of the beginning of a little bit of a rebound back into summer. But yeah, 90 degrees. 90 degrees tomorrow. And then, we get into some storms on Friday. Thunderstorms at the Heritage Festival. Wow. Not really sure how that's going to go, but I'll be there. I'll be there. Broadcasting live, or at least trying to. And then, of course, the parade it's just going to be a blast. Saturday is going to be amazing. The weather's going to be perfect. Cannot wait. Get out tonight. Courier Park. We got the farmers market starting at 3:30. We got the food trucks pulling up. We got some great live music tonight. Courier Park. The unofficial beginning to Heritage Festival. right here in the Granite City. Over and out for now. Thank you to our sponsors, our presenting sponsors, our supporting sponsors, making it possible every day, Monday through Friday, to bring you this live and local podcast from North Main Street in Barre, Vermont. The World, JC Soft Wash, Pressure Washing, Fontaine Millworks, Enough Ministries, Barslow Construction, Central Vermont Chamber of Commerce, Berlin Optical Expressions, Traditions at Fontaine Meadows, Fecto Homes, Donnybrook Fight Promotions, Giroux General Transport, Granite City MMA, Gauthier's Quality Grounds and Maintenance, FGB Theaters, Washington County Mental Health Services, BCK Real Estate, Montpelier Volkswagen, Montpelier Mazda, Central Vermont Home Health and Hospice, and of course our supporting sponsors, Tetros Appliance. Oh, I love them. Love all of them. Locarno's Bulldogs, Dupree's Towing. Yes. Peak Entertainment. Thanks, everybody. Have a fantastic rest of your day.